Keeping it simple. By grace I live, by grace I am released. This is lesson 169 in the Letting Go live stream, going through the Course in Miracles workbook, one lesson at a time, to let these ideas work upon us and release our resistance to these ideas, these negative emotions, which the Course is telling us is not you. That's not what it is. All this fear, all this anxiety, all this anger, all this guilt, not you. Could you let it go? And that's what we're doing every single day in these lessons. It's just letting go of these clouds of negativity that obscure the truth of God, that you are as a son of God. Now, again, we hear like, oh, why is it saying son and not daughter? Son, daughter, same thing. So if you can look at it like that, then, oh, problem solved. You are his son, and you are not apart from him. And so there's this infinite power that is there with you all the time. And we're coming to an experience of what actually is through our acceptance of it. By grace I live, by grace I am released. This morning in our membership group, we were doing this release on wanting control. Oh, how much wanting control there is. Wanting to control God, wanting to control the other people in our lives, wanting to control money, and wanting to control health, and so many things. And the Course has been saying all of your planning is fear. That's all fear-based. What if you just let this infinite loving field handle it? And so what is grace? Well, grace, it says you can't really teach grace. And you got to go beyond learning to an experience of grace. So pray up a storm for grace. In fact, the prayer for today's lesson is very simple. It's just repeating, by grace I live, by grace I am released. It's just a choice. By grace I live, by grace I am released. What this lesson says is grace is acceptance of the love of God within a world of seeming hate and fear. By grace alone, the hate and fear are gone, for grace presents a state so opposite to everything the world contains that those whose minds are lighted by the gift of grace cannot believe the world of fear is real. So this is not something your ego is doing. It is simply availing ourselves of grace and being released from the illusion. Coming to an acceptance of the love of God. Releasing, letting go of the denial of the ever-present love of God, which comes within a seeming world of hate and fear. So it takes what it takes. There is a lot of wanting to control this whole process. That's why letting go goes so well with this. We let go and we let God. By grace, we are released. And so we'll now do some letting go on resisting the acceptance of the love of God within a world of seeming hate and fear. To allow that grace and recognize the hate and fear are gone. We're going to be in a state so opposite of everything the world seems to contain. So let's begin doing some letting go. And so it just begins like this. By grace I live, by grace I am released. By grace I live, by grace I am released. By grace you live, by grace you are released. You, I, me, same thing. By grace you live, by grace I am released. So that's the prayer to hold in mind today. Quite simple. By grace I live, by grace I am released. But what is this grace? It's acceptance of the love of God within a world of seeming hate and fear. So, with all the world's appearances, is there any resisting the love of God being there? But the world seems scary, dangerous. The love of God can't be there, the ego might say, the doubt might say, the fear might say. Well, could you notice resisting accepting the love of God, being here and now, despite all appearances of the world? And that resistance could take any number of emotions. Might feel like wanting control, might feel like fear, might feel like desire, might feel like pride, or even apathy. What feeling comes up to be released that's resisting the love of God? And could you ask grace to release you? Nothing you have to do. Just ask. Grace, I ask for release from this resistance to the love of God here and now. And then could you just allow that resistance, whatever that feeling is, to come up here and now? Let the cloud obscuring the love of God come up. Rather than trying to stuff it down, push it away, could you just let it come up to that grace? Could you allow the resistance to the love of God here and now to release, to be released by grace? Just by letting it, just by feeling it, just by noticing it. And could you allow this to be released by grace? Would you allow any resistance to the love of God to be released by grace? When could you allow the resistance to the love of God to be released by grace? Now, later, never? No rush. You never have to. It's always optional. Though in your willingness to go through this course, it's probably an option you're interested in. But there can still be so much resistance to this ever-present love of God because the world seems to be full of hate and fear. And grace is merely the acceptance of that love of God that's present despite all appearances of the world. By grace I live, by grace I am released. By grace I live, by grace I am released. By grace I live, by grace I am released. And is there any more? Am I resisting accepting the love of God in this world as it appears? Is there any fear or doubt of the love of God ever present? Any mistrust? Any lack of faith? Any feeling that comes up at all other than the love of God? Well, that's the resistance. Could you simply acknowledge it, allow it? Nothing to judge or moralize about, no need to stack any guilt on. Could you simply allow this feeling, this resistance to the ever-present love of God in this world, in you, here and now? Just let that resistance come up. Whatever that feeling is, wherever it seems to be hanging out, could you allow it up? And could you just sit with this feeling without trying to change it or make it different? What if grace did the releasing? Could you just sit with this feeling until grace releases you? Could you just sit with this feeling? Let it be there, let it move, let it do what it does. Not even your job. Grace will release you if you just allow it to. Rather than stuffing the feeling down or trying to get away from it, could you just let it be there as it releases, as it's released for you? And could you allow the releasing of the resistance to the love of God? Just could you allow the release of resistance? Just could you? Would you allow the releasing of the resistance to the love of God? When could you allow grace to release you from resisting the love of God? Oh, it is grace. Grace which calls you to what you really are, to heaven. Even while you are walking through a world of seeming hate and fear, grace calls you. By grace I live, by grace I am released. By grace I live, by grace I am released. By grace I live, by grace I am released. What is grace? Grace is merely acceptance of the love of God, despite all appearances of the world. And if I was in acceptance of the love of God fully, I would have no fear, no hate, no doubt, no mistrust. All of that's just resisting the love of God. It's a feeling, just a feeling. Could you allow any feeling of resistance, any feeling of denial or refusing the love of God? Allow it up so it can be released by grace. Could you allow this feeling up so it can be released by grace? Any resistance, denial, refusal of the love of God, it's okay. It's okay without making good or bad of it and therefore stuffing it back down. Could you allow up that resistance to the love of God that it may be released by grace? Is there more resistance? Could you feel it more? Bring it up more? Bring it to the grace that it may be released. And could you surrender? Turn this feeling over, this resistance to the love of God over to divine grace. Would you surrender this feeling? Turn it over to divine grace that you may accept the love of God. When could you surrender this feeling of resisting the love of God? Surrender it to divine grace that you are released. Grace does the releasing. It's merely your willingness to bring things up and turn them over to that grace. When I resist the feelings, when I deny the feelings, when I stuff them down, they remain stuck. When I bring them up to this grace, which is an aspect of the love of God, by grace I am released. Just by bringing them up. By grace I live. It's purely grace, the love of God by which I live, by which I exist. By grace I live. By grace I am released. By grace I live. By grace I am released. By grace I live. By grace I am released. Released from what? A world of seeming hate and fear. Grace is merely acceptance of the love of God despite all appearances of the world. And could you allow up any more resistance to the love of God despite all appearances of the world? This could be fear. This could be wanting control. This could be wanting security, wanting approval, wanting God's love though not feeling worthy of it. Any resistance to the love of God here and now with you and in the world. Whatever comes up, that's the thing to let come up and turn it over to grace. Could you allow it to come up? Any resistance to the love of God. And just be turning it over, surrendering it. How do you do that? You allow it to be there until grace releases you. But I don't like this feeling. Well, that's okay. Could you feel it anyway? Keep turning it over. Keep surrendering it to grace. Could you allow this feeling to move, to unstick, to come out of storage? Bring it to light, turn it over to grace. Surrender it. It might go, it might stay, it might come up more now that, whoa, how much of this I've been carrying. Whatever's happening, could you just allow it and continue turning this feeling over to grace? Surrendering it. Could you surrender the resistance to the love of God and be released by grace? It happens when it happens. Would you surrender? Give up the resisting the love of God? Turn it over to grace? When could you surrender, give up resisting the love of God and be released by grace? All is done for you if you allow it. And if you can release the resistance to the process of your enlightenment, your atonement, your being at one with God, with Christ, with all there is in heaven. More resistance may come up. Could you keep turning it over to grace? That grace which releases you. By grace I live. By grace I am released. And could you just allow that? Nothing you have to do. Nothing you have to understand. Could you just allow grace to give you the experience of this workbook where it's leading you. By grace I live. By grace I am released. And you can even ask, I ask for divine grace. I ask for more grace. I ask for divine grace. By grace I live. By grace I am released. You can't say that enough today. By grace I live. By grace I am released. And notice as you go through the day, any resistance, any of these feelings that come up other than the love of God, it's coming up to be turned over. Could you allow it up rather than stuffing it back down or trying to get away from it? By grace I live. By grace I am released. It is done. It is already done. Your journey is already done. Could you allow this grace? By grace I live. By grace I am released. Complete and total. We've been blinded by time for a little bit. Could you just allow time to disappear? By grace I live. By grace I am released. Could you loose all you thought of the world? Allow heaven to reveal itself. By grace I live. By grace I am released. And could you continue on this journey, grabbing your brothers along the way or letting them follow you as you show them that by grace you live, by grace you are released. Show them what's available to them. There's no rush, just walking. Who do you walk with? Who do you walk with? By grace I live. By grace I am released. To the perfect happiness that is God's will for me, for you, for all. Well done releasing. Thanks for joining us this morning. And could you remember, by grace you live, by grace you are released. Have the best day.